Well, the Chief Minister, Senator Ian Gorst, is calling for his dismissal, and we can speak to Senator Gorst now, who joins me on the line from Brussels. Senator Gorst, surely it's good to have a diversity of opinion within your Council of Ministers.
Yes, it absolutely is, and that's the very reason that I proposed Deputy de Hamel to be Environment Minister in the first instance.
So is it a question then that trust has simply broken down between you?
It is, and I outline those reasons in the proposition, and I've got to say, Matthew, that it is with regret and with reluctance that I've taken this course of action, but I felt that actually there was no other course of action open to me.
Nonetheless, you've made some serious accusations about the Minister being dishonest and deliberately holding back important information. Do you have evidence to back up such claims?
Yes, I do, and that's outlined in the report. Obviously, the Minister doesn't agree with that, as you've just heard in the interview. The process, and the only process open to me as Chief Minister, is then to make the case to the States Assembly. I recognise that that's a very uncomfortable process. I don't believe it's a process which is fit for purpose. In virtually any other government around the world, the Chief Minister or Prime Minister would simply reshuffle or move one person from a position of minister and appoint another one. This system, I think, this process that we're having to go through shows that the system we've got is not fit for purpose.
If you had that system, would you keep Deputy de Hamel in your Council of Ministers and simply reshuffle him?
No, I wouldn't. I would have gone through the same internal process that I've had to go through. I'd have spoken to him, I'd have made the case to him, and then asked him to step down. What it would mean is that we wouldn't have to go through a public process, which is, I recognise, unsatisfactory for the Minister, it's unsatisfactory for the Chief Minister, it's unsatisfactory for the States Assembly, and it's unsatisfactory for the government and good governance of Jersey.
Surely you could have patched it up for 6 months and made it to the end of this states, couldn't you?
Well, indeed, Matthew, I could have done, and that would have been the easiest course of action for me. But in my job, I don't always take the easiest course of action. I take the course of action which I think is in the best interests of Jersey and in the best interests of good government of Jersey, and that's why it's with regret that I have had to take the course of action that I have.
You say in the proposition that you don't believe that Deputy Hamel can cope with the pressures of being a minister. This is not the first time that we've heard of ministers suffering from excessive pressure. You had to have words with the Treasury Minister, didn't you, about the pressure under which he was operating and the way in which he was dealing with his civil servants?
The reasons that I'm bringing the proposition are quite clearly outlined in there, and as I've said, it's with regret and reluctance that I've done it. This is not the first time, actually, that Deputy de Hamel has been asked to be removed from a position that he's held in the State.
No, I know. He stepped down from the committee chairmanship as well. But I did ask you about Senator Ozif and the way that you dealt with him when he was seen to be failing in his role as a minister and not doing a very good job at maintaining good relations within his department.
That's right, and each case is taken on its own merits and dealt with, or tried to be dealt with in an appropriate fashion.
Well, you offered Senator Ozif anger management training. Did he take it up?
Matthew, this proposition is about the Planning and Environment Minister. As you
yes, I appreciate that, but what I'm saying to you, Chief Minister, is that you can't have one rule for one minister and another rule for another. You offered Senator Ozif help and support so that he could maintain his role as minister. Why not offer the same to Deputy de Hamel?
It's quite a different set of circumstances, as you'll know from reading the report. When I sit down with ministers and when the Council of Ministers sit down with ministers, they do expect that they're going to have straight answers and questions are going to be answered. The Chief Minister in our system, because there is no power, because ministers are corporation souls, has to work on the basis of trust and having full and frank and open discussions with ministers. Where that doesn't take place, it makes the job of Chief Minister extremely difficult, and it makes the job of working as a coherent Council of Ministers in the best interests of Jersey very difficult as well.
So you don't think there's any way that you can support Deputy de Hamel in retaining this role, then?
If I'd thought that, then I wouldn't be bringing the proposition. I believe that this is the only course of action open to me, that it's in the best interests of Jersey. Although there's a short period of time to go until the election, there are many important decisions which the Council of Ministers and the States Assembly are going to have to make, and it's therefore in the best interests of Jersey that we are able to work together as a collective team. In your interview earlier with Deputy de Hamel, he said that he didn't think, as Planning and Environment Minister, he needed to work as a team. He said that he was a corporation soul and therefore wasn't responsible to the Council of Ministers, and said that he didn't support collective responsibility.
If you lose this vote, is your position untenable?
I don't believe it is. I am using the processes available to me as Chief Minister, agreed by the states. I have said, and said again today, that I don't think that process is fit for purpose, and I'm hoping to change that as a result of the work of the Machinery of Government subgroup. But all of us serve at the pleasure of the Assembly of the States.
You're on the phone from Brussels this morning, and I appreciate you joining us. But what are you doing there? Because you're actually discussing the way in which the island can actually bolster its relationship with the European Union, aren't you?
That's exactly right, yes. I'm here with the Chief Minister of Guernsey, and we've had a series of meetings yesterday, and we continue those meetings today. Jersey is, for EU purposes, considered largely as a third country outside of the Protocol 3, which dealt with agricultural products and fishing. So we have to build our relationship here in Europe. We have to help the European institutions understand Jersey and Guernsey's economy, help them understand the benefit that our economies are to London and therefore across Europe. And that's what we've been doing here.
Are you concerned, though, that you're having to take your eye off the ball because of this spat back in Jersey?
Not at all. People have said to me, do you not think there are more important things to be doing than bringing forward a proposition with regard to the Planning and Environment Minister? And my answer to that question is I am continuing to do those important things. Ministers are continuing to make decisions in Jersey's best interest. I'm here yesterday and today promoting Jersey at the heart of the European Union, telling those European institutions the steps that we've taken with regard to tax transparency and meeting all relevant international standards, and hopefully building relationships for the benefit of Jersey. So those important works of government continue.
Chief Minister, thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning. The Chief Minister, Senator Ian Gorst, who's asking the states to dismiss the St Saviour Deputy Robert de Hamel as the Minister for Planning and Environment, accusing Deputy de Hamel of being dishonest and for failing to disclose critical information, allegations which the Deputy disputes and denies. Senator Gorst, as we heard there, is in Brussels, along with Guernsey's Chief Minister, where they're discussing the contribution that the Channel Islands make to the European economy.